The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, football is dead. And I couldn't be happier because we're a hockey show and we're going to talk NHL hockey today. Welcome here to the Puck Portfolio. I'm your host, Andy MacNeil, here on weekdays to provide NHL projections, betting advice, and strategies to help you make informed picks throughout the NHL season. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Not sure what today's show is going to look like, considering I know a lot of you are all suffering from a Super Bowl hangover. Quite a finish. Pretty boring game. Jake and I were just talking about this before we went live. Pretty boring game, all things considered. I mean, the first three quarters didn't have a whole lot of drama. But the fourth quarter and overtime was full of it, and certainly made up for it. I mean, one of the more memorable Super Bowl finishes in recent years. So, yeah, Jake, what were your takeaways from the game? Did you win any bets?
It was I won the straight up bet on KC plus the Mahomes MVP, so that was pretty good. I got Kelsey got 8 catches, which he kind of capped off late in the game when they realized they should probably use him to maybe have a chance of winning. They started throwing him the ball a little bit more in the fourth quarter. But otherwise, it was a pretty crummy day for player props. All the touchdowns, save for Christian McCaffrey, were scored by like sort of role play guys that you don't really tend to bet on. So other than the straight up bets and the MVP, it was kind of a wishy washy day. But yeah, like you said, boring for 3/4 of the game, and then it sort of came alive at the end.
Yeah, it sure did. My son, that was the first time he ever actually tuned into an NFL game with me, and he's 8 years old, so not a big surprise there. But I think it made me think of the whole, the band, how fans are created, and how I was a Patriots fan. Like, I'm not the biggest football fan anymore. In high school, I definitely was, paying attention, and after in that decade after high school, sure, but in the last 4 or 5 years, coincidentally, I think that aligns with the end of the Brady Belichick era. I definitely, my interest in the Patriots has waned a bit, but I was 11, 12 years old, and my dad and my uncle were big Patriots fans, and obviously that was before the glory days, right? And so that's who I was watching every Sunday. If I did happen to come hang out with them for a little bit, that's who was on the TV most Sundays. And so as I did start to kind of come of age and start to be a little bit more aware of what was going on in the NFL, yeah, I mean, it's only natural that I'd start to cheer for the Patriots. And it's not my fault that they were also happening, to become the greatest team of all time at the very same time. And I think, with Kansas City, like, my son was watching that last night, and in like within 5 minutes, he said, like, Patrick Mahomes is my favorite player. I want the Kansas City Chiefs to win, right? Like, that it happened so fast. And I mean, that was watching Mahomes drive down the field in overtime. I mean, that definitely created some new fans, right? So yeah, I mean, I'll never call my kid a bandwagon fan if he ends up being a Kansas City Chiefs fan, because I mean, God, you have to be inspired by something, right, to become a fan. So I don't know, maybe I'll have a little buddy to watch football with next season. We'll see. Anyway, I want to get into the big thing I want to talk about, which is my best bet for Tuesday. I'm looking ahead a little bit here. Obviously, on Monday's show, we always look ahead to Tuesday's NHL odds. I'm going to cycle through Monday's games in a little bit here. But I'm just going to start with Seattle and New Jersey. So the Kraken, they're in New Jersey on Monday, taking on the Devils, of course. Jack Hughes is back in the Devils lineup. So that is a big plus for them. But Nico Dawes is the likely starter for New Jersey on Monday. Vitek Vanacek missed practice due to an illness and a lower body injury, according to reports. Dawes, he's posted a measly .895 save percentage in 8 games this season. He's got an .894 career save percentage in 33 games. Vanacek's been worse, allowing more than 10 goals above expected in 32 games played this season. I'm not looking at Seattle here, though. I'm looking at the Predators on Tuesday. So Nashville is available at minus 119 at NorthStar Bets, our sponsor for this show. They offer early odds on the next day's NHL game. So you can look ahead to Tuesday and get down on the Nashville Predators at minus 120. Now, the Predators do have an important matchup with Dallas coming up on Thursday, so they'll have a day off in between, and an even bigger matchup with the St. Louis Blues, who they're in a fight with for that playoff spot on Saturday. So it's unclear how they'll play their goalie hand in this game on Tuesday against the Devils, but I think at minus 119, the Preds are a good bet, regardless of whether it's UC Saros or Kevin Lankinen. So I'm guessing that Nashville will start Saros on Tuesday against New Jersey, leaving Lankinen to start against Dallas on Thursday, and then Saros to be back in on Saturday against St. Louis. That's how I see things playing out. Why? Well, Saros has dropped his last 5 starts to the Dallas Stars, and Nashville has as well, until they went with Kevin Lankinen in the last 2 games. They turned to Lankinen, and they've got 2 wins in a row over the Dallas Stars. So I think they'll stick with that formula there, starting Lankinen against the Stars, as Saros has not had a lot of luck this season, and not had very much luck against the Stars over the last couple of years. So yeah, I think that's how it'll work out, and I like Nashville at minus 120 to win. Well, minus 119, but minus 120 or better to win a unit, and yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lock that in. I wanted to get that in and out of the way. So yeah, to win a unit, Nashville Predators over the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday in Nashville. But yeah, wanted to get that out of the way because I know that, some people might be looking at Seattle today. I don't think Seattle is very good. I don't think there's an edge here. I have New Jersey as a minus 125 favorite. At least that's what the model thinks they should be. So no play there for me. And the other one here that I'm having a really hard time handicapping is the Vegas Golden Knights. Have you seen their injury list, Jake?
I know it's extensive. I haven't checked it in a little
It's
while, but
very,
yeah,
it's
it's
very
rough.
lengthy here. I don't know what their lineup is going to look like. I wouldn't pay much attention to my projection that you see on the screen there, because obviously Shea Theodore is out. He's not going to be back in the lineup. Jack Eichel, same thing goes for him. But like Ben Hutton, Tobias Bjornfoot, William Carrier, they're all expected to be out until at least today. So we don't know whether or not they'll be back in the lineup. Then you've got Mark Stone. He's out day to day with an illness. Zach Cloud, he's out. Or Zach Cloud, Zach Whitecloud is out day to day with an illness. So this could be a really thin Vegas lineup against the Minnesota Wild on Monday. But there's a chance that, a bunch of these players could play. So it's really hard to handicap this one. I wouldn't touch this one with a 10-foot pole right now. But I mean, hey, if Vegas gets a bunch of help back in the lineup, I think that you could look at I think that you could look toward the Vegas Golden Knights, because this line has come down quite a bit here. So let's just see where we're at now. Might be ticking back up. Yeah, it looks like it is. North Star up at minus 149. Um, just looking at the line history here, it did get down. So Vegas did get down as low as minus 135. Um, has ticked back up to minus 137 at a sports book that I'm looking at here. But yeah, so maybe maybe any chance of getting a discounted price on the Vegas Golden Knights because of their the uncertainty surrounding their lineup has kind of come and gone, with most places listing Vegas at around minus 145 or minus 140. So yeah, too much uncertainty here to do anything there. I would suspect if Vegas gets some of those players into their lineup tonight, then the line will, if anything, tick a little bit in their direction. But yeah, it's a really tough one to figure out. So for a little bit of a little stretch there, almost most a large portion of the Super Bowl, the St. Louis Blues were the only team from Missouri to score a touchdown on Sunday, beating Jake's Habs 7-2 in Montreal. Did you get a chance to take that one in? That was a shit kicking.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. It was an ugly one, and then it got uglier late in the game. A couple of bad hits, a couple of Habs out. Harris probably long term. We don't know about Gouli yet, but yeah, it seems like that game got away from the refs a bit, and everybody was kind of frustrated in the building. So yeah, it was just kind of an ugly one. All I could think about was the
Blaming the
players
refs.
probably had a Super Bowl party planned after the game, and after after that, absolute rinsing and a couple of the guys going out injured, the Super Bowl party was probably a pretty dour affair.
Yeah, Jordan Harris, man, that was ugly. That was he kind of I don't know who he got mixed up with there behind the Montreal net, but I guess his legs kind of came out from under him and he fell backwards. His head hit the ice. That dude was out of it. Um, I imagine he'll miss a couple of games, if not a few more.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a combination of kind of a rough hit and just bad timing with him sort of already tripping when he was going towards into the
Yeah,
boards, and yeah, it was just a bad combination of things.
I only saw the full speed replay, so it was like it all happened very fast. But yeah, you could see his back of his head hit the ice pretty hard there. But yeah, speaking of St. Louis, they're bad. Look, they're a bad team. They keep finding ways to win though. But who in their right mind is going to lay minus 192 on the Maple Leafs? Like if you had bet $100 on the Maple Leafs every time they were priced as a minus 140 favorite or greater as the home team this season, you're down $352 to date. So, I mean, not a good bet, right? Why would you bet on the Maple Leafs? Yeah, they might win. In fact, the model thinks they will win more often, not a lot more often than the Blues. But betting the Maple Leafs as a big favorite, it's just a recipe for disaster. Not saying that you should bet the Blues, but yeah, Toronto, man, I don't know why anybody would, in their right mind, would want to bet on this team as a favorite. Another team that I don't really understand here. We talked about Seattle a little bit. They're in action against the New Jersey Devils on Monday. Well, they're playing the New York Islanders on Tuesday, and New York is. I mean, I don't get it. They just haven't impressed me very much since Patrick Waugh has took over as head coach, and I guess I've had people kind of you know with contradicting opinions coming at me in some conversations, but like they're 9-9 as favorites on home ice this season. And since Patrick Waugh has took over as head coach, they've gone 3-4. They've had significant rest advantages in 4 out of the 7 games. They played 4 teams that were playing the second half of a back-to-back. They hadn't been put in a situation yet where they're the team with the rest disadvantage here. So, schedule-wise, things have been relatively easy. Maybe not, on its face. You look at the competition. You got teams like Dallas and Vegas, etc. But this team is, not really impressing me here. So they're another team that I really don't understand why anybody would want to lay them as a favorite right now. They're a favorite in against Seattle tomorrow. And yeah, I think you'd be crazy to bet this team as a favorite. In fact, I just think all around this team is just overvalued. They haven't done well as underdogs this season either. So yeah, I just don't see the value in betting on the New York Islanders. They get the Flames on the weekend and they get blown out. I mean, you look at this little stretch here, and in a lot of these games, they're going down. They're going down, by 2 or 3 goals in the first period after 40 minutes, trailing by 2 or 3 goals. This has been the case a lot since Waugh has took over. And yeah, they've shown some fight and they've found a way to win some games, but I'm not impressed with this team whatsoever. And if you're looking at the Isles on Tuesday and you're thinking, oh, they're getting the Kraken on the second half of back to back, okay, maybe they'll win. They'll probably win by the skin of their teeth, and it'll be a total sweat. And yeah, I just don't want any part of that. I don't think this team is good enough to be betting on them as a favorite, much less a bigger favorite. And that's where they're trending here. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm sure we'll have Michael Leboff on the show a little bit later to in the week to talk about the Isles, and he can tell me why he thinks I'm wrong. But yeah, another report that I want to touch on here. Nathan MacKinnon absent from practice on Monday. He's been skipping practices a lot, though, and he's still played in 52 of the 53 games so far this season for the Avalanche. I'm going to assume it's just a maintenance day. And I kind of wish that the reporters would, provide a little bit more context because they see this happen all the time. And, I don't know if it should be reported without the added context that this is normal. Like, it's not unusual for McKinnon to miss practice and not miss the game, right? So I think there's very little, like there's almost zero correlation to whether if he plays, if he participates in practice, or if he doesn't participate in practice, that doesn't mean he's not going to play in the game. And I think that if you see any instances where this happens and the market moves towards the other side, so in this case they're playing the Capitals, they're flying to DC either later tonight or tomorrow. Tomorrow, I believe. So they're playing the Capitals, and while let's see, has anything? No, not enough sports books have opened up to really see any kind of move on this one. But the Colorado Avalanche are currently a minus 167 favorite. If there was, a big move towards the Capitals because people think that Nathan McKinnon might play. I think the better, we've talked about this earlier in the season. There was another situation where this happened. I think that the play is to wait until you see him take the ice for warmups and then hit the Avs if the price is right. But yeah, I would not be. I know the Capitals are, coming off a couple of or a few strong performances. Nice shutout win over the Boston Bruins. But this is still a very mid hockey team, a bad hockey team. The Avalanche aren't a team that I'm loving right now or looking to back as big favorites by any means. Um, but in this situation, if there is a big shift in the odds because of some what I would think is not great information. I don't even think the reporters really have to say anything about Nathan McKinnon missing practice at this point because he's shown that he just doesn't. The practice just isn't important to him. The maintenance days are much more important to him. And given the level that he competes at, it makes a lot of sense why that is. So, yeah, wouldn't worry too much about McKinnon, and I wouldn't bet the Washington Capitals on a hunch that he won't play. That's for sure. So, yeah, overall, I think this is. I mean, we're looking at 4 games on Monday and a bunch on Tuesday. But overall, I think this is a pretty tough slate from a betting perspective. At least how I do things. I make my odds. I go compare them to the sports book and see what we've got here. And Nashville minus 120 or better is what I like the most. And other than that, really, so there's an edge on Vancouver at the minus or sorry, as a big favorite against Chicago. But that's a big price to pay and not something I'm really interested in. There's an edge on Edmonton as a relatively big favorite against the Detroit Red Wings on Tuesday. Not sure there's enough there for me to really be interested in. I do love the Nashville Predators though to beat the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday, and I think you look at how the Preds have been playing. Um, Pretty good as of late. I think maybe not getting the bounces, getting the luck that they um, might deserve. But you look from since since January 1st, sorry, they've got a 54% mark in expected goals percentage at 5-on-5. That's a 15-game stretch. So yeah, that's better than the Devils. Now the big problem is their goal share is just at around 48%. And that's an issue. They're not scoring very many 5-on-5 goals right now. 2.14 goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5, but they've got much better goaltending than the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils, as I talked about, maybe in a bit of a bind here with Vitek Vanacek. Not at practice today, dealing with an illness and a lower body injury. Looks like Dawes will start on Monday, so that means there's some uncertainty about who's going to start for the Devils on Tuesday, and I like that. So yeah, Nashville minus 120. All right. Well, I should check out the anything in the chat that I should get to, Jake. Do we have more Super Bowl hangover peeps than we thought?
Yeah. No real questions. Connor making a good joke, calling Nathan McKinnon Nathan Iverson. Because he tends to skip practice.
Practice.
Doesn't care about practice. It's not a game.
Talking about
We're talking about
practice.
practice here. That was a good one, and of course Norman, who's been in the chat lately, and seems to be our resident chat Habs fan, which of course I welcome. Says that yeah, it was an ugly game against the Blues, but the good news is it's pushing the Habs closer to a top 5 pick, which I tend to agree with. However, if we look at the Dallas game the night before, that's the kind of loss I want to see from the Habs. A little bit of fight. They lose 3-2. They still, they still get that lottery bump, but not absolutely shellacked in their own barn like they did with the Blues.
Yeah, an insight in the chat saying that the Avs opened up at minus 172 on the money line at NorthStar. And yeah, so there has been a little bit of a shift toward the Washington Capitals. As you can see, my model has, and this was with Nathan McKinnon in the lineup, has the Colorado Avalanche at minus 162. So very unlikely that I'll be betting on the Avalanche. But I mean, I think just in general, I would, as far as playing a Nathan McKinnon, situation, it's better to just wait and see how the market reacts to the information. That really hasn't resulted. Like, I mean, I'd like to go back and kind of measure how many times, count how many times this has happened where Nathan McKinnon has skipped practice and played in the following game. So, um, and I wonder also on top of that, how many times has the line moved in, relation to the news that coming out that he has missed practice, right? So um I think the market probably jumping the gun on that one. I don't think the Avs are going to get to the point though where I would back them, given that I think they should be around a minus 160 favorite. So like looking over the last month, I mean, like this, it's not looking good, guys. Like at 5-on-5, 49.5% in expected goals. Corsi 4 percentage, 49.6, 48.4% goal share at 5-on-5. So they're scoring, roughly 2.8 goals and allowing almost 3 goals per 60 minutes here at 5-on-5 over the last 16 games. Does that look like a Stanley Cup contender? I don't think so. But they can turn it on in the playoffs, so I guess we'll see. But this is not the 2022 Avalanche. This isn't even the 2023 Avalanche. I don't think. I don't know. It's a they've shown flashes of it, but yeah.
For what it's worth, I got
Uh,
a fantasy alert that says he should be available tomorrow, so it seems like he's
yeah,
trending towards playing.
because yeah, it's I just like I really think that he must have had some handshake deal with the team. Like, look, I'm not practicing this year, or like very rarely am I going to be at practice because it's been a theme all season long. Um, Elsewhere, I do want to. I know Jake and I are going to be. So I guess now's a good time to do a bit of a schedule update. Drop a like on the video if you have not already. You do not want all 144 pounds of me coming after you, so just do it. And I want to talk about the Buffalo Sabres a little bit because we all saw something on Saturday morning that was fucking whack. Let's just call it what it was. Like if you watch the show Friday with Nick and myself, we had Nick Martin on from the Action Network Line Change podcast. I didn't really I didn't give him much grief for saying that he liked the Sabres um, at the opening odds, which were down. They were a short favorites, right? And but then some other sports books started opening up Buffalo at around minus 135. A lot of the bigger prominent sports books, the FanDuels and the DraftKings, etc. They started opening up a little bit later, and the Sabres were minus 135. I didn't think that was like crazy or totally unreasonable or anything like that. I thought the Sabres should be around a minus 110 favorite, if you remember from the show on Friday against St. Louis on Saturday morning. And so yeah, I guess at my initial thought was, oh, okay, maybe I'll end up betting the Blues if things kind of move in that direction. And they did. I don't know what's going on, but Buffalo went from minus 135 to minus 170. That's a more than a 5% move. And some of that had to do with Joel Hofer being in goal over Jordan Binnington, and I don't know why, because Hofer's been almost as good as Bennington this season, and he was probably better than him in a small sample last season. So the Blues have a decent backup goalie. I don't think there's a lot of a big difference between Bennington and Hofer. Maybe a tenth of a goal per 60 minutes. If you're talking about expectations, like yeah, Bennington might give them that extra little bit of a lift, but Joel Hofer's been pretty good, and anybody I saw people on the stereotypical TikTok handicappers and the Twitter handicappers that are giving out NHL money line bets now that all the other sports that they bet on are winding down. Recommending laying Buffalo minus 155. And I mean, if you're doing that, you're a terrible sports better. The Sabres are one of the last teams that I'm looking to lay a big price like that with. I mean, you pick your spots if you get one. Hey, if you like them against the Kings, maybe or something, you get them as a home underdog. Okay, sure. But like, come on, right? I mean, Buffalo is 3-5 this year on home ice as the favorite when their odds are minus 150 or greater. So yeah, I mean, like they're one of the last teams that I'm looking at to lay a big price on. It didn't make sense why that one moved the way it did. Andy, these are the same people who will lay minus 180 with Ottawa. Yeah. Speaking of that, I mean, if you're laying a big price, Ottawa's on as a big coming out as a big favorite here on Tuesday. And yeah, they'll probably beat the Blue Jackets. They've been playing really good. I mean, if you look where they rank in expected goals percentage over the last month, they're top of the league at 5-on-5. But um, if you're laying a big price at minus 160, minus 170, minus 180 with the Sens, like you're breaking even, if anything. Like you're probably losing, because why would you do that? Why are you laying that kind of price with that kind of team? They've still got terrible goaltending. There's a reason that their expected goals percentage is 59% and their goal share is like 51%. They're barely scraping by, because even if they score 4 goals, they're going to allow 3 or 4. Like it's just a matter of fact, it seems like. So I don't know. There's some wacky stuff that goes on out there sometimes, and I think overall, when I look at the betting market, I think, look, the people that are moving the numbers as a whole, they're smart. They're good decision makers. And there's a reason that the numbers are moving. So, yeah, I mean, as a whole, the market is pretty sharp. But I think when you zoom in sometimes and you look at specific examples, you can see sometimes where there's an insane amount of overconfidence in the market. And, making the Sabres of all teams like a huge favorite, a minus 170 favorite against the St. Louis Blues, who I think they're pretty much on par with, is fucking batshit crazy to me. And I don't like to use it's a bit of hindsight bias now. I did bet the Blues. If you follow me on Twitter at Digital Gambler, you'd see that I tweeted out that I had a small play on the Blues at plus 135. Um, but I don't like to, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I think I'm the smartest person in the room or anything, but um, because I don't. But like sometimes you've got to go against the conventional wisdom in these situations, and you don't really have to think a lot about it. Like I think there were probably plenty of recreational hockey bettors that looked at the line on Saturday morning, a half hour before that game started, and said, "What the hell are people doing here? Why are the Blues this big of an underdog?" They probably went and checked the injuries and checked the goalies, and if they checked the goalies and got scared away by the fact that Jordan Binnington wasn't going to be in goal, then they've got to do some more research, because there's not a big difference, like I said, between Binnington and his backup Joel Hofer. So something to keep in mind there. The Blues, they're not a team that I'm looking to back by any means, but it seems like the market, at least some people in the market, are kind of adamant about fading this team any chance they get, and I don't think that's right either. So yeah, keep an eye out about that one. So got my Preds hat on. Betting the Preds minus 120 to beat the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday. Do not like anything on Monday as of right now, because yeah, I'm not a fucking degenerate, guys. Calgary is getting there. So as you can see on the screen, now Jake just took it down. He doesn't have to put it back up, but as you can see, I've got the Rangers minus 148, and it is going to be Igor Shesterkin tonight. That's in net tonight. That's been confirmed. So the Rangers, they're about a minus 160 favorite, minus 159 at NorthStar Bets, plus 130 for the Flames at NorthStar Bets. Some other sports books getting up around plus 144 though. So yeah, getting to that point. Another 10 cents in the direction of the Rangers, and I'll bet the Flames. Looks like Jacob Markstrom's going to be in goal on Monday against the Rangers. So yeah, I mean, not scared to bet against this New York team. Calgary has been trending in the right direction. They've won 4 in a row, but I wouldn't reach here. I want to see some overconfidence. I want to see people push this Rangers team to a point where it's like, no, they don't deserve to be there. They deserve to be where they're at right now, because that's pretty much right in line with my projection. Taking the Flames at plus 130 or plus 140, I think would be super square. So people will probably do that today. But yeah, I only like the Preds. That's my best bet. It's a 1 unit. Well, it's a 1.2 unit bet to win 1 unit on the Nashville Predators. I think it's got a bet that's going to win 57.1% of the time. Yeah, I'll look into that. The Blues started off bad on the road. Could be people paying playing extreme home road splits. Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. They've been a lot stronger at home. We know that. They've got a pretty good record at home. Another thing about the Islanders, I saw somebody on the weekend. Like I gotta grease this chair. A little noisy today. Get some white lithium WD 40. Some free advertisement for you there. Uh, um, uh, who was it? Oh, the Islanders, and I was like, I read some write ups, just to, I guess, make myself feel better because, man, sometimes when I read sports betting write ups, I'm like, I'd really consider betting the other side if I was you. Like they're making a case for one team, but as I read, I'm like, I don't know. Like the more you talk, the more I think you should bet the other side, not the team that you're picking. And the Islanders, somebody referenced their home ice advantage and their 13-7-6 record. Like that's 13-13. What home ice advantage, right? Like they're a break even team on home ice. So yeah, no, I don't get the Islanders hype. Um, I don't get the Blues hate. Honestly, yeah, the Blues have been dreadful, but like, I mean, I don't think they're not as bad as Montreal. Clearly, they're not as bad as the Chicago's and the San Jose's. Probably not as bad as I know they lost to Columbus 1-0, but they're probably around that, you know, in the Columbus range, I guess. Maybe a little bit higher than the Columbus, than a team like the Columbus Blue Jackets, but they're not a bottom feeder by any means, right? Like they're not a total disaster. They're a team that you can bet on. You just have to pick the right spots and not reach. Like anybody who bet the Blues as a big favorite against the Blue Jackets, after they had rattled 4 or 5 wins or whatever off in a row, that's a terrible time to buy in. The time to buy in is the next game when they play the Sabres and they're a plus 140 underdog for absolutely no reason. So anyway, a little bit of a schedule update here, I guess, is now's the time to do that. We are only going to be doing live streams on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, the next couple of weeks will be a little bit screwy probably because I'll be by myself. Jake's going on vacation to I believe Thailand. I don't know. I'm just making that up, but um, he's going to be away for the second half of this week and all of next week, so things will be a little bit screwy. I'll be still obviously putting the show out. I just don't know about the live schedule, but once Jake's back in the fold and everything, for sure, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the live stream. And then we're going to use Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to put we'll put video content out, but it'll be a little bit different. We're going to take some extra time to experiment a little bit, do some stuff on TikTok, or some other platform, YouTube Shorts, etc. Because I'll be honest, I don't even want to tweet anymore, guys. Like Twitter sucks. Like I could like spend hours putting together like a bunch of good information that'll help inform your betting, and it'll get like 4 retweets and 10 likes and 3,000 impressions, and like it's just not worth it. So I think I've got to start focusing my attention on somewhere like TikTok and trying to reach out to people, and trying talk about hockey from a betting perspective, because uh I can't find anybody on there that's doing it right, to be honest. So maybe I'll fill that void. um Blues are in a wild card spot right now, yeah. And I mean, standings don't mean shit. Like, we know that. Standings are just the standings. Results based analysis ain't gonna get you nowhere. But yeah, no, the Blues are in a wild card spot. They're not a disaster, but they've been like priced at times like a total, a total tire fire. And I just that's insane to me. So yeah. Where are the Predators right now? So yeah, their Predators are just 2 points behind the Blues, and the Blues have a game in hand. So that is a big game for the Preds and the Blues coming up later this week. We'll be sure to catch up and talk about that one a little bit later. But yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday with some more video content. Won't be a regular show, but it'll be some kind of show, and you'll see it when you do. Until then, we'll see you on Wednesday for another live stream. Take care.